I told my coworker's fiancé she's been flirting with someone at work. I, 29 female, work in a mid-size marketing firm, the kind of place where everyone pretends to be too busy for gossip, but somehow knows exactly who ate whose yogurt from the break room fridge. One of my closest work friends, or at least I thought she was a friend, is Anna, 28 female. She's bubbly, super social, always has a coffee in hand, and has this energy that just draws people in. She's been engaged to Mark, 31 male, for about a year now. I've met him twice at company mixers. He's polite, a little shy, and has that solid, dependable guy vibe. I wouldn't say we're friends, but we've chatted enough to know he's into hiking, hates pineapple on pizza, and clearly adores Anna. Then there's Ryan, 33 male, another coworker in our department. Ryan is charismatic in a slightly dangerous way. He's the kind of guy who can make you laugh in the middle of a tense meeting and somehow make it feel like it's just the two of you in the room. I've never had anything against him, but he's got a bit of a reputation for being flirty, and not always in the strictly professional sense. From the outside, you'd think Anna's life was a Pinterest board. Dream fiancé, stable job, lots of friends. But lately, I've been seeing cracks, and not little hairline ones. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, people joke, they laugh, they stand a little too close sometimes. It's just office life, right? But the way Anna interacted with Ryan started to make me uncomfortable. Not because I'm jealous or prudish, but because if I were Mark, I'd want to know. I didn't know then that this little creeping discomfort was going to turn into the kind of moral dilemma that eats at you when you're brushing your teeth at night. Or that I'd end up in a position where one conversation would change the atmosphere in both my personal and professional life overnight. But that's getting ahead of myself. I've been at this firm for about 4 years now, long enough to see a couple of product launches fail spectacularly, watch 3 managers come and go, and survive an all hands where the CEO said we were a family right before announcing layoffs. The office itself has this strange mix of professionalism and casual intimacy. We're not Google or anything, but we have a decent break room, the occasional catered lunch, and an unspoken tradition of grabbing drinks after work on Fridays. It's a place where the line between coworker and friend is blurry, which is both comforting and, at times, dangerous. Gossip travels fast here. I'm not even sure anyone tries to stop it. Someone gets engaged, everyone knows within an hour. Someone calls in sick but is spotted at the mall, it's practically an email blast. Most of the time, it's harmless. But every so often, the rumor mill turns out something a little sour. When Anna joined the team about 2 years ago, she fit in almost instantly. She's a people person, remembers birthdays, brings in cupcakes just because, always has a compliment ready. I'll admit, I liked her. She made the workday brighter. And when she got engaged to Mark last year, everyone was genuinely happy for her. She even brought him in one Friday night, and he fit in well enough. Kinda reserved, but you could tell he was proud to be there with her. Ryan had been around longer than Anna. He's one of those employees who never seems stressed, but somehow gets away with it because his work is always fine. Not brilliant, not sloppy, just fine. But his social game, Olympic level. He's charming in that way that can make you feel like you're the only person in the room, even when you know he's pulling the same trick on half the office. When Anna and Ryan started getting closer, I thought nothing of it. We're a friendly bunch. People pair off for projects all the time. But over the months, I noticed a shift. Their banter was sharper, more personal. There were inside jokes that made the rest of us tilt our heads like, wait, when did that happen? She'd sometimes lean over his desk, her hand brushing his shoulder like it was nothing. I told myself it wasn't my business. I told myself I was overanalyzing. but there was this undercurrent that made me uneasy. And the thing is, it wasn't just me. I'd catch little looks between other coworkers, the kind where you don't even need to speak because you both know you saw the same thing. A couple of people even hinted about it during lunch, saying things like, "They seem close," with that tone that means more than just coworkers close. Still, I stayed out of it. I had no reason to think it was anything beyond harmless flirting. At least, until it stopped being harmless. It's funny how small things build up. If you saw just one of these moments in isolation, you'd probably shrug it off. But when you're in the same room day after day, watching little patterns stack up like Jenga blocks, you start to see the whole tower leaning. For example, Anna used to eat lunch with a rotating group of people, sometimes with me, sometimes with the girls from accounting, sometimes at her desk. But lately, always with Ryan. Not in a big group where he just happens to be there, but in a let's coordinate and grab lunch together way. Even on days when their schedules didn't overlap naturally, somehow they would make it work. Then there was the post-work drinks. We all go occasionally, but Anna started skipping the group Fridays only for me to overhear Ryan mentioning they'd already gone out last night. I'd try to convince myself they were just hanging out as friends, maybe working late and grabbing a drink after. But the tone was different. One Friday, during a team happy hour, I walked back from the bar with my drink and saw them sitting off to the side, leaning in close. She was laughing, not the polite work laugh we all put on for bad client jokes, but the full, head-tilted, shoulders-relaxed kind of laugh you give someone you like. His hand was on her knee, and she didn't move it. I froze. Not because I'd never seen flirting before, but because she was engaged. And Ryan knew it. Hell, everyone knew it. She still wore the ring every day. The office started buzzing a little louder after that. People didn't outright say affair, but you could hear the implication in their voices. "They're just friends," some said. Others muttered, "If my fiancé acted like that, I'd be pissed." I tried to keep my head down. I didn't want to get dragged into drama. But a part of me kept thinking about Mark, this guy who, from the little I knew of him, seemed genuine. I thought about how I'd feel if I were in his position. And then came the tipping point. It was a Thursday afternoon, and the office was winding down for the day. Most people had already left early. I'd forgotten my water bottle and went back to grab it. The lights were dim, the place was quiet, except for soft laughter from the far end of the room. Anna and Ryan were there, sitting so close their knees touched, her hand resting casually on his forearm. He said something I didn't quite catch, and she smiled in this way that, I don't know, it wasn't just playful, it was intimate. It was the look you give someone when you're not just enjoying their company, when you're letting them know you want them to keep talking. I remember my heart doing this weird, uncomfortable lurch. I grabbed my bottle and left before they saw me, but the image burned into my head. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The breaking point happened the very next week. It was a Wednesday, one of those deceptively quiet days when nothing urgent is on your plate, but there's a steady hum of low-level busyness in the office. I was working late because I had a client presentation the next morning and wanted to get my slides perfect. Most people had left by 6:30. Around 7, I heard the elevator ding. I figured it was the cleaning crew, but then I heard voices. Low, playful, too close. I recognized them instantly. Anna and Ryan. I don't know why I didn't just put my headphones in and ignore it. Maybe curiosity? Maybe that little voice in my head whispering, something's going on here. I told myself I'd just grab my bag and head out. But as I rounded the corner toward my desk, I caught sight of them in the break room. She was perched on the counter, swinging her legs slightly. He was standing between them, leaning in close, one hand braced on the counter next to her hip. Their heads were close enough that a whisper would have been intimate. And then I heard her say, "You're trouble, you know that, right?" And this teasing, almost breathless tone. He grinned, resting his hand briefly, very briefly, on her thigh. Not high, but not exactly innocent either. I froze. My stomach dropped in that way it does when you narrowly avoid an accident. A sick mix of relief and adrenaline. I wasn't even breathing. She glanced toward the doorway, and for a split second, I thought she'd seen me, but she didn't. They were in their own little bubble. I left without saying anything, my heart pounding the whole way to my car. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My brain wouldn't shut up. What if Mark has no idea? What if they're not just flirting? What if you're the only one who could tell him before he makes a huge mistake? I tried to argue with myself. It's none of your business. Maybe it's harmless. You could destroy their relationship if you're wrong. But then I thought about my own ex, the one who'd cheated on me for months before I found out. The way everyone else seemed to know, but no one said anything. How stupid and humiliated I felt. That memory decided it for me. I wasn't going to sit back and watch it happen again. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Anna perched on that counter, Ryan leaning in like the rest of the world didn't exist. By 3 a.m., I was staring at my phone in the dark, scrolling aimlessly, trying to decide if I was about to be the world's biggest meddler or someone's only friend willing to tell them the truth. I didn't have Mark's number saved, but I remembered he followed me on Instagram after one of those work happy hours. My stomach flipped as I typed out a message in the DM box, then deleted it, twice. The third time, I wrote, "Hey, I know this is awkward, but I think there's something you should be aware of. I've seen some things at work between Anna and another coworker that don't sit right with me. I don't want to assume anything, but I'd feel awful if I stayed quiet and you found out later." It was clumsy, it was vague, but it was enough to send my heart into my throat when I hit send.
He didn't respond right away. I kept refreshing my messages every 10 minutes at work the next day, trying to act normal. Around lunchtime, he replied, "Can you call me? I need to know exactly what you've seen." I ducked into an empty conference room, hands shaking, and told him everything. The lunches, the hand on her knee, the after-work drinks, the break room counter. I tried to be as factual as possible, but my voice still shook. He was quiet for a long time after I finished. Then he said, "Thank you for telling me. I don't know what to say right now." We hung up, and I felt like I had swallowed a rock. My hands were clammy, my head was pounding. I'd done it, the thing I'd been debating for weeks, and now there was no undoing it. That afternoon, I got a text from him. I confronted her. She says it's just harmless fun. I don't know what to believe. I sat staring at my phone, my mouth dry. He didn't sound angry at me, but I could feel the tectonic plates of their relationship shifting, and I was the one who'd set it all in motion. When I left work that day, I swear the air felt heavier. The next morning, Anna walked in 10 minutes late, face pale but jaw tight, and I knew. She knew. Anna didn't say anything to me right away. She just sat at her desk, slamming her keyboard a little harder than necessary, and not joining in on the usual morning banter. But her silence had weight. You could feel it stretching across the office like static before a thunderstorm. Around 10:15, she stood up and walked over to my desk. No smile, no coffee in hand, just a look that could have frozen boiling water. "Conference room, now," she said. I followed her in, and as soon as the door clicked shut, she spun around. "Did you tell Mark I'm cheating on him?" she demanded, voice low but sharp. I swallowed. I told him what I've seen. The lunches, the touching, Her eyes flashed. "You've seen nothing! You've seen two friends having fun. You've taken something innocent and twisted it because you... What? Don't like me? You're jealous?" The accusation hit me like a slap. Jealous? No, you have no idea what's going on in my relationship. None. And now you've planted this idea in his head that I'm some kind of slut. Her voice cracked on the last word, but she masked it with anger. I'm not trying to ruin your relationship, I said, my own voice shaking. But if I were in his shoes, you're not. And it wasn't her place at all. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard one of the blinds rattled loose. The rest of the day, I caught people glancing at me, then quickly looking away. Word travels fast here, and I knew she'd told someone who told someone else until the whole office was buzzing. By lunchtime, I could feel the shift. The people I usually sat with suddenly had plans. Ryan barely looked at me, but I caught him whispering to one of the designers with a smirk that made my stomach turn. Over the next week, the atmosphere didn't improve. If anything, it calcified into two camps. People who thought I'd done the right thing, and people who thought I was a meddling busybody who should have kept my mouth shut. I never knew who was in which camp until they either smiled politely or avoided me altogether. The worst part, I didn't even know what was happening between Anna and Mark now. For all I knew, they were working things out and blaming me for the entire mess. And every time I sat down at my desk, I could feel the tension, like a weight pressing down on my shoulders, knowing that one choice had changed the way everyone here looked at me. The thing no one tells you about making a morally right decision is that it doesn't always feel good afterward. Sometimes it feels like you stepped on a landmine and are just waiting for the rest of the explosion to hit. That first weekend after everything blew up at work, I barely left my apartment. I kept replaying it all in my head. The break room, Anna's glare, the conference room fight. Every time I thought about it, my chest tightened like I was about to cry, but the tears never came. I talked to a couple of friends outside of work. My best friend, Jess, was firmly in the "you did the right thing" camp. If my fiancé was acting like that and no one told me, I'd be furious. You saved him from wasting years of his life, she said. But then there was my older sister who took a different approach. It's not your relationship. You can't possibly know what their boundaries are. Maybe they're okay with harmless flirting. All you've done is create drama. Hearing those two opposing opinions back to back made my brain feel like a ping pong ball. And the truth is, I don't know if I told Mark for him or if I told him for me.
When I saw Anna with Ryan, I was disgusted. But also, somewhere deep down, it triggered this old wound from my own past. My ex cheated on me for months, and everyone around me knew, but stayed silent. I still remember the humiliation, the sick realization that people had been smiling to my face while knowing what was going on. So maybe I didn't just want to protect Mark. Maybe I wanted to stop that same story from playing out for someone else. Or maybe I just wanted to prove that I would never be the person who stays quiet. The problem is, the more I think about it, the less noble it feels. Because now Mark is hurt, Anna is furious, Ryan is smirking like he's untouchable, and I'm the one walking into work every day with my shoulders tense, wondering who's talking about me when I'm not in the room. I keep telling myself, truth matters, honesty matters. But in the quiet moments, I also wonder, was this really my truth to tell? It's been 3 weeks since I told Mark. Anna and I barely speak now, except for the occasional stiff work-related exchange. Ryan still acts like nothing happened, which somehow makes it worse, like this whole mess is just entertainment for him. The tension in the office has dulled slightly, but I can still feel it in the way certain conversations stop when I walk by. As for Mark, I haven't heard from him since that last text. I don't know if they're still together. I don't know if he believes her, believes me, or believes some half version of the truth. For all I know, they could be in therapy right now, rebuilding trust. And part of that trust might involve agreeing that I was a troublemaker who blew things out of proportion. I keep running through alternate versions in my head. If I'd said nothing, maybe things would have fizzled out on their own. If I'd waited, maybe I would have had clearer proof or found out I was wrong. If I'd gone to Anna first, maybe she would have dialed it back without Mark ever knowing. Instead, I chose the nuclear option, and now I'm left wondering if I detonated it because it was truly the right thing, or because I wanted to be the one who did something when I saw a wrong. At work, I tell myself to keep my head down and focus. Outside of work, I try to distract myself with friends, hobbies, anything. But in the quiet moments, brushing my teeth at night, making coffee in the morning, I feel this little pang of doubt, like a bruise I keep pressing on. I can't shake the question. Did I protect someone from being blindsided, or did I just stir chaos for no reason? I feel terrible, but part of me wonders if I'm acting like a self-righteous child who can't mind her own business. Am I overreacting?